banh mi sandwiches, and we are headed over to Tolmie State Park right now. I just plugged it into Waze, and it looks like it's about 60 miles away, so it should only take us a little over an hour. We actually have to go through Tacoma on I-5 South on the way down, and we usually get traffic in that area, so it might slow us down a little bit, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Walk through the walls as they will follow. Catch them always, but to me, let's go. But never let me go. Run away with the night. Turn your back on the harsh daylight. Feel the air getting warm. Here rising up, up, up. Move your body, this feels right. Am I dreaming? If I'm dreaming, don't wanna wake up.
So we just arrived at Tolmie State Park, and really looking forward to it. Actually, it's the first time for both of us being here, and we usually do a lot of planning before we go somewhere to really check out what the place looks like, how big the park is, how much parking there is, and all that stuff. But because this is kind of a last-minute trip for us, we didn't do any of that. So we have no idea how big this park is, what the grounds look like, what kind of amenities they have. So this is the first time we're checking this out, so it should be fun. Okay, so we're just waiting for May and her family to arrive here at the park. We're just starting to get all of our equipment ready. And we actually got some shoes that you could wear in the water. These are actually nice because on the bottom of the soles you can see they have some holes. So if your feet do get wet, the water just go right outside the... they'll just leak right back out of the shoe. Which is nice. You can see, look. There's a nice rubber sole. There's a little strap here for the lace you can tighten up. It's so good. They're comfortable to wear. Luckily for clam digging, we actually don't need too much equipment. We went out last night and bought a little garden claw here. You see it has a nice handle, so we could go out there and just kind of rake up some of the clams in the mud. But I think most of the clams that we're getting today are just in maybe 4, 5, 6 inches deep in the mud there, so it shouldn't be too bad. I think we're pretty much all set. We're just waiting for Kat's friends to arrive. They should be here pretty shortly. Okay, so we just figured out, we talked to the ranger, and we were waiting here for a while. Didn't see our friends show up yet, and we've been here for over an hour, and we just realized that there's 2 parking lots. So FYI, if you come here, just know that there's 2 parking lots. We were actually at the upper parking lot. We thought we were at the OK parking lot because it said there was a sign there at Trailhead to go down to the beach. But the lower parking lot is you go out and then take a right and then just go down to the road, and there should be a parking lot that's actually right on the beach, so it'd be good. Hopefully we find a parking spot. The ranger said that the parking lot does fill up, especially when people are digging down here. So it looks like it's right here. Is that them? No. So here's the parking lot. We got a space, that's good.
We're all feeling good.
Yeah,
First ones to the parking lot. There's, you know.
At the upper lot, there wasn't an electronic pay station, but It looks like there's an electronic pay station here where you could actually buy the Discover Pass here. So you could buy either a daily or an annual pass here. So the beach access is right here to the right. So we just came down that road up there from the upper lot. And the lower lot definitely is closer. You can see the beach right off the parking lot. It's cool. So it's about 11:20 right now. The low tide is at around 2:20 today, so in about 3 hours. So we'll be able to clam dig while the tide's going out, which is what you want to do. Really nice there. So this is really our first time clam digging. We've gone to Hama Hama over in Hood Canal, and it's really, I think that's over in Lillywop, and we've went I guess oyster picking, because your oysters are right on the beach, so we just picked them up. So we've done that before, and we were able to find some clams while we were doing that, but we've actually never really gone just for clams before, so this is our first time doing that. So we're not exactly sure what are the best parts of the beach to go to do that, but we can see some people over there clam digging right now, so we're just going to kind of follow their lead and just kind of head over there.
Ooh, my feet are getting wet. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
Not sure I like that feeling.
So again, our shoes, we're both wearing similar shoes, and they have holes on the bottom, so so our feet are totally getting wet right now. Whoa, this water's actually pretty deep.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid it.
I think it's pointless to avoid it at this point. I think we found our friends. Yelling out Cat's name. Alright, so these guys are the pros. These guys have been fishing. Me and Ernie have been fishing for a long time. They know all the different waters here around Washington State really well. And May's actually the expert on the Washington State sport fishing rules. Whenever we got questions, Kat would give her a call and get some answers for us. Oh, you can see oysters right there too. You can see that?
Oh, yeah.
Some oysters right here on the beach. Some of them are just the shell, because in Washington State, at any public beach, if you're gathering oysters, you're required to shuck the oysters on the beach and then leave the oyster shell pretty much where you found them, or they're supposed to be at around the same tide level as where you found them. So you'll see a lot of oyster shells just around.
Hi guys.
Hey.
You guys will not believe. We were here for over an hour.
But we're at the wrong parking lot.
We were at the parking lot.
I didn't know there was 2 parking lots.
We're like, oh, we're the first ones here.
So this is May and Ernie.
Hi.
I've been clamming for a little while, and initially when I first started clamming, I was kind of depending on just feeling, because when you rake the rake through the sand like this, you definitely feel something. If you hit something hard, you kind of hear it and feel it. Feels like you're kind of scraping against something. But I noticed that sometimes you don't feel it because you're clawing through, and then sometimes the clam kind of just squeezes right through the tines of this claw, and sometimes you just don't feel it. So I kind of changed my method just a little bit, and what I do now, here I'll try to find a good spot. When I was with Ernie said that a lot of times you find some of the bigger clams like underneath the seaweed like you see here. But you can kind of see like all the little spots that we dug around here. And they did really well in this section, so I could just pick a spot like right here. So I modified my technique just a little bit. So what I do is I'll just rake a little bit like this. And then usually this area starts filling up with water. And then after you rake a little, like I'll just rake a few like this. And then sometimes you miss it, so you gotta just put your hand through. So just rake a little, and then put your hand through. Oh, see? Oh, nice. So see, I felt that with my hand. This is a nice little Manila clam right here. Try it again. Just rake a little. Oops, did I see something? A lot of times, here's a small one. It's a little too small. But just rake a couple and then feel your hand through, because a lot of times you'll miss something. I think that was the same one. Oh, right here. Here's another one right here. There's another good one. Just rake like that. And they're not very deep. They're just a few inches below surface. Some of the other variety of clams, like if you're going for horse clams or something like that, those are much deeper. Those could be 1 foot to 2 feet deep, but those are a lot bigger clams. But today we're mostly going for, we're trying to find Manila clams here. And when we were talking to May, she was saying that those are actually her favorite to eat because they don't have as much sand in them. So that's one of the things that I don't like about clams sometimes is when they have too much sand in them. Oh, here's actually a butter clam. It's white. See that? It's actually the first butter clam that we had today. Oh, nice. See that? So yeah, just scrape a little like this, and then just put your hand and swipe through. I was actually using a glove earlier today. So if you have sensitive hands, you might want to use a glove, but I'm not putting in my hand too hard. I'm kind of just grazing the top of the surface. This so you can kind of mix up the sand a little bit. And once you break it down, it becomes pretty easy to put your hand through. Okay, so that was good. Got a few clams right there. I think I'm gonna find another spot. You can see all the areas that we dug around here. This is a pretty productive area in the beach. Here, I could try right here. I'm gonna try in this area right here. And one of the things I changed too is instead of digging and then going backwards, you actually want to dig and go forwards. That way the sand that you dig up isn't in your way. Makes it a lot easier. You see here, it's a little drier here. There's not as much water in here. It actually makes it a little easier when you can feel through. Actually, here's a clam right here. There's a small one right here. a sand dollar. A lot of times you scrape that and you think it's a clam. Actually, this is a little dry here. I actually prefer it when there's a little bit more water. It's a little easy to run your hands through. Oh, see, here's a nice clam right here. Here's a nice one right here. Let me, here's this, let's see. It's a nice Manila clam here. Yeah. So it's about 1 o'clock right now. I've been digging for a little over an hour and we got pretty close to our limits. You can see in the bucket here. We got our 2 separate buckets. So each clam durgan needs their own bucket. So that's Kat's bucket here. That's my bucket. And we got about 40 clams in each. So we got close to both of our limits right now. It's 40 clams per person. When you're digging for Manila clams and some of the other clams like butter clams and varnished clams, you just total them all together. And you want to have a total of 40. Almost everything we got were Manila clams. We got a couple of, I think, varnished clams, and we got 1 butter clam in there, that white clam that's in there. I think that's a butter clam. But the tide's out pretty far. It's almost out all the way right now. It's -2 tide. And we're gonna go, like all the oysters are kind of clumped together out a little further out. So we're just gonna head out and check out the oyster beds right now. And try to shuck a few oysters while we're here. It's a really nice day though, huh? I mean, as far as not being too warm.
Yeah.
You know? You can see some little crabs kind of scurrying around. You can see that little house out on the... I wonder what that house is over there. See that? That's pretty cool. There's a few people out here shucking clams. Hello.
How you doing?
Good. Actually, they're shucking oysters out here. You can see, so this is kind of where the oysters begin. And the nice thing about oysters, they're just hanging out on the, right on the sand. It's not like you have to dig for them or anything like that. Now, you'll see like a lot of these oysters are actually just shells. And it's because in Washington State, if you're collecting oysters on the beach, you have to shuck the oysters pretty much where they're lying, and then leave the oyster shells, and then just take the oyster meat with you. And that's what we've done. We've already shucked a few oysters, or actually Ernie and May actually shucked these oysters for us. So we're gonna try shucking a few ourselves. But yeah, when the oysters are in the wild, you could see that a lot of times they're clumping together like this. And that's actually why you want to leave the shells, because when the small oysters are out there, they actually attach to the shells, and then that's why they'll come in like clusters here. And you can see, I mean, the oysters are actually, it's a pretty big oyster field here. Okay, so Kat just found this oyster here. Actually, this is a really nice oyster. Look at that. It's a good size. It's actually an oyster size that we would eat.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of looking for some that we could eat too, you know what I mean? Not just for bait, but...
And you can see here's the bottom side of the oyster, and here's the top. And the way you open an oyster is you want to go in through the back side right here. You can see just a little bit of a space here, and this is an oyster knife. And I'm wearing a glove because you have to be worried about stabbing yourself. But just put it in here and then just do a little twist. Actually, I broke the shell a little. And I just like put it in there and then just try to do a little twist. You try to lever it in there just a little bit. Whoops. There it goes. Just slide the oyster knife forward, and there's a little muscle that's right underneath right here. So you kind of just twist. And then see, I just scraped along that top edge, and then just leave the shell here. there's another mussel, but it's right here. There you go. Nice little oyster right here.
Okay, looking for some more oysters. Always kind of want to look where there's kind of a group together. There might be a lot of empty shells, but there might be some good ones. Honey, let's look over here. Let's go through and see what we can find, because I feel like I see some good ones in here.
Now see this one right here. Oh, that's an empty shell right here. That's the one left. This is a clump. There's some oysters in here, but it's kind of hard to get some of these sometimes when it's clumped up like that. I usually like to find some of the ones that are by themselves. Actually, ooh. This is a nice, oh, this is a perfect size one right here. Look at that.
That looks good.
That's a nice one right there. Oh, actually, this is another one. This is two good ones. This one. That one's funny shaped. That's the empty one. Wow, these are two good ones right here.
Okay, let's get into them.
Again, here's the back side, here's the top side, and you always want to go in. You can see this crevice right here. Put the knife in here, and you don't want to stab yourself, but put some pressure in. The main thing is you kind of want to rock it in a little bit, and then there you go. See that? You just pop it, more of a twisting motion, and then trying to get that mussel that's right over here in this top right hand corner. So you just slide the blade right through. Right there it goes. See, it's right here. There. Oops, got a little shell in here. And then the other mussel is right here. You can see it right there. You just want to slide the blade right there, just like that. Do it again on this one. These shells are a little brittle. Each oyster is a little different. Some varieties, the shells are a little harder. This one, you know, the shell kind of cracks.
Earlier, Ernie was saying that because it's dry, the shells are cracking.
Yeah. Definitely kind of cracked a little. Oysters still actually look pretty good. A lot of times in the summer months, you'll see right here the oysters start getting ready to spawn, and they're getting a little creamy right there, which is why I generally don't eat oysters when it starts warming up right now. Like right now, it's the 3rd, 4th week in July, and it's getting a little warm, so I generally wouldn't eat these oysters raw. If anything, I'd bring them home to deep fry or grill.
And what is it? You taught me the letter in the month of what oysters it is. Is it R? The letter R?
I think the letter R. So any month with the letter R, that's kind of the general rule, is those are good months to eat oysters. So, you know, the January, February, March, April. But then once it starts coming into May, June, July, August, those 4 months, those months tend to be the warmest. And that's generally when people, when they're on public beaches and stuff like that they'll usually won't eat oysters, especially raw, because they get a little too white and creamy. And
you can eat them even in October, November. There's like a fall time.
Yeah, so once
fall
it starts cooling
harvest.
down, September, October, November, December, all those months with ours, it starts to get a little cooler. The water gets cooler. The oysters stop spawning. So that's a good time to start eating our oysters. I think for us, we usually like getting our oysters probably in the fall time, winter, and those are the best times. The oysters tend to be meatier. They tend to be a little firmer in texture, and you get that nice crisp kind of salty flavor that tastes really fresh. But once this, you can kind of see here's some oysters that we got, and the water's a little milky, and it's because the oysters get a little bit more creamy. You see that? They start getting a little more white, so the texture becomes a little softer and not as firm. But for the most part, we're getting these oysters to use for crab bait. We've been doing a lot of crabbing, And I think crabs actually like a lot of oysters for that's something, I think that's one of the favorite foods that they like. So we're just going to put some of this in our bait box and hopefully catch more crabs with this.
Okay, looking for some more oysters. This looks like a good pile over here. Oh, I think that's a good one right here, honey.
Where?
Right, is that one? Right here, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good size. Okay.
Not too big, not too small.
Yeah. With some of these oysters, they get too big, and the bigger oysters are better when you like want to bake them on the or grill them and eat them cooked. But if you're gonna get some oysters to actually eat raw, usually this is about as big as I'd want to get on something like that. This is a good medium to small oyster.
So I would say the palm of your hand.
Yeah,
like...
palm of your hand or a little bit smaller. But for finding this on a beach here, this is actually a really good size.
Okay, let's get into it.
Well, actually, kind of hard to see where the... There it goes. So again, slide it forward. And there's a mussel right underneath the top shell, right on the right hand side. I just want to slide my knife right through it. There.
Nice.
It's a nice clean oyster right there. And then the other mussel, you want to slide the knife right, and it's right here. There.
Did I tell you about the first time Genji and I went and we got so excited when we found the first big one?
Oyster?
Yeah, and then
really?
we ate it fresh on the beach, and then we're like, oh, okay, so the really big ones, we should not eat it raw because it's really milky.
Yeah.
So we were like, ever since then, we're like, okay, that was out of much excitement.
Yeah.
We'll just
And you
stick
could
to
get
the
like
small one.
diarrhea.
Yeah. Yep, lesson learned. That's a good one. Let's see that one. Nice. Yeah, because we brought a cooler with ice,
Yeah.
so we'll probably just stick this in the cooler.
Yeah. That should be good, and it's not too far from home.
Yeah. Great job, May. Yeah, they have the ones, yeah. But the ones that they consider for grilling, they're slightly a little bit bigger, and I don't know if I would eat those raw. It'd be too big. Yeah, slimy and milky. Like this one. This one looks big. I know.
It's like probably addicted to.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It's fun.
We brought my mom for it, and he didn't know how to stop too. We're like,
Oh, really?
Like,
Yes,
done. We had like a whole mountain map, like extra, that we have to give to her.
That was meaty.
Big one.
That was a big one.
Okay, so we just got done shucking oysters over here on the beach. That's the oyster field over there. We got our limit of oysters, I believe. I think the limit is 18 per person, and I didn't really count, but I think we might have got maybe 30 oysters or so. But we're just checking out the beach at low tide right now. I think it's just past, what time is it right now?
It is 2:13.
Okay, so it's actually coming up on high tide. I'm sorry, low tide right now. Low tide is supposed to occur at 2:20 today, and it's 2:13. So you can see how far out. I mean, you can see those people out there. They're really far out. It almost seems like they could walk up to that sailboat that's right there. But it's really nice here. This is the first time for us being here, and we're really happy that May and Ernie invited us out to meet with them. Those guys know all the good places to be when it comes to fishing or clamming or crabbing. So we're really fortunate that they help us out whenever we have questions about that. And it's fun hanging out with them too. So this is, you can see a house up there. I think that's a house right there on the water right there. It's kind of cool. That's kind of the only house right there on the beach. You can see it on its stilts over there. Yeah, it's nice. Want to try walking over here?
Mm-hmm.
Just walk over here just a little bit. I wanted to see what this house looks like, maybe a little closer up. It's crazy how far the tide's out.
Yeah.
This trip, look how far we are from the shore. The shore goes all the way up there, and during high tide, right there. It's amazing how many sand dollars. I mean, there's sand dollars like all over this beach. Yeah. It's cool checking out this sailboat right here. It's just anchored out here in this little bay. See that? Just small ones. I don't see any big ones though. You know? I wouldn't be surprised if there's some crabs like not too far out. Nice thing about these shoes here, you can just walk out into the water here, get your feet wet. Oh, there's a crab right here, baby. Look at this. I think this is a tanner crab. Yeah, check this out. I think that's a tanner crab. That's cool. See that? You like that? Yeah. Having fun there?
Yeah.
But your parents like walking through here, huh? They have a good time? Whoa. Yeah, I know. But you heard how, it's interesting how, what Ernie was saying, right? Like during low tide, the crab don't really move around. They kind of dig themselves into the sand. So it's always best to go crabbing during high tide, and that's when they're actually moving around. Otherwise, during low tide, yeah, so not low tide. So during low tide, they'll just kind of burrow into the sand, and then they won't move around. They won't be hunting around for food and stuff like that. So. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I feel like we usually go during high tide. I mean, that's usually when we're looking for tides. That's usually when we go. But I think when we were at Kayak Point, we did go kind of during low tide, but it was kind of a high low tide. There's more crab over here. Small ones. It's amazing. There's a lot of sea life around here. There's a crab right there. Look, there's actually some pots out here. I think, oh, these are mussels. Yeah, so this is someone's mussel pots right here. These are oysters. So it might be someone's bags that people are cultivating their own oysters here. You can see this. It looks like some Pacific oysters in here in these bags. So these are people that probably live maybe in that house right there. They put these bags out on the beach, and then they just anchor it down to a line. So these are anchored down, and then this is how they grow their oysters. This is nice. And then in these, let me see, is this another oyster? Yeah, these look like some nice oysters here, babe. Some oysters, and then some mussels in here. Cat. It looks like these are like some small, like the round oysters that you like. They almost look like Kumamotos or something like that. It's hard to see in there, but you can see like the anchor right here. So there's a line coming off these pots, and then it's anchored down with this rebar. So that prevents it from like floating away. But in that one over there, there's mussels in it. You see that?
Oh, I didn't see it.
It's a beautiful day at the beach. Over here at Tolmie State Park. Not sure if that's the correct pronunciation. Did you hear them say it?
I didn't know.
We're all packed up, ready to go. We got our limits of clams here over at Tolmie State Park. And yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, this is the first time really we're clam digging here, and luckily got our limits. Fair amount of work, a lot of digging, but I mean, it's a lot of fun though. Like every time you find a clam, it's exciting. So we're really glad we came here. It's great that May and Ernie shared their little spot with us, and yeah, it was a perfect day. It wasn't too warm, and yeah, not too warm, not too cold. We're actually able to like walk in the mud with our shoes, walked in the water, and yeah, we had a good time. We're gonna definitely come back.
We started long ago, believed in something we don't